Greetings and welcome to this brand new series on the channel. In case you're unaware, I've spent the past few months making character introductions for quite a few members of the Touhou cast. So I thought to myself, is there any more natural progression to this channel's main concept than moving on from simply showcasing the characters and their abilities to actually comparing them? The answer to that question, of course, is a definite maybe, but I couldn't think of anything better, so what better way to debut this new series than with one of the most popular and probably most fleshed out matchups in the canon. That of course being the time-controlling maid Analysing Sakuya versus the human phantom gardener Kompaku Youmu. So to clarify, in order to figure out how this battle would most likely go, we're gonna be comparing the characters in terms of fighting styles and abilities, which will be based on in-universe statements as well as feats coming primarily from the mangas and of course, the games. The reason for that simply being that my sources are admittedly quite limited. With that said, let's start with Sakuya. The head maid of the Scarlet Devil Mansion has the extremely versatile and powerful ability of space-time manipulation. Basically, she can not only stop time but also alter its speed and allow diverse time frames to exist at once, practically acting as a form of cloning, since she utilizes it to make multiple versions of her knives or even herself coexist in a single point in time. In addition, she's also able to somewhat influence space and more particularly distances, as shown by her enlarging the Scarlet Devil Mansion's library. So in other words, imagine all of these JoJo stunts rolled into one singular ability and without any of their clear limitations. Her battle plan consists mostly of using her powers to quickly reposition herself, dodging the enemy's attacks while also confusing them in the process, thus creating an opening for her to strike a decisive blow. Moreover, she also tends to rely on barrages of an immeasurable quantity of knives to completely overwhelm her opponent. In fact, her ability is dangerous enough that she managed to temporarily get the upper hand against Watatsuki no Yorihime, who is arguably one of the strongest characters in the series, a feat only ever achieved by her and also Reimu, aka the main character. On the other hand, Youmu is a skilled swordsman possessing two blades with the power to cut through nearly anything, including concepts such as time, color or even sound. That part of her ability in particular is used in her spell cards to throw off her adversary, making it easier for her to land a hit. Moreover, her swords serve a defensive role as well, considering she is skilled enough to use them in order to deflect or even outright destroy enemy attacks. Furthermore, being a half-ghost, she can utilize her phantom self in combat, as it can attack using the Maku and even shapeshift into her human body. This allows her to launch an offensive from multiple fronts and use misdirection tactics in order to break through the opponent's guard. As such, since she mostly excels in close-quarter combat, her fighting style consists of rushing down the opponent while simply cutting down anything that stands in her way. Now that we've got their powers and battle plans out of the way, it is time to compare them for the final verdict. And well, Sakuya clears. The main reason for that simply being that Youmu gets countered in almost every single way imaginable. For starters, as previously mentioned, she's best suited for short-range combat. On the other hand, Sakuya excels at keeping people away by using her ability to create distance between her and the opponent. Speaking of said ability, time manipulation basically makes all of Yomu's disorientation gimmicks, as in sound and color concealment, completely worthless, and creates an opportunity for Sakuya to exploit Yomu's biggest weakness, namely, that Youmu can't dodge. Now I know this argument might seem a bit baseless to some of you, but that isn't the case, so hear me out. If we turn our attention to the Grimoire of Usami manga series, a series about the main incident resolvers rating the spell card patterns of other characters, we find an interesting observation. That being that out of all the main and secondary cast members, Youmu is the only one that consistently complains about not being able to dodge the contestants' attacks. Meanwhile, Sakuya's reactions show that she tends to be quite unimpressed by most of the presented patterns, including those that had Youmu shooketh. So in conclusion, Sakuya wins, since her fighting style makes her a terrible adversary for Youmu, who is only effective in close quarters and can only defend herself by cutting through projectiles. Something which basically leaves her defenseless against the Sakuya and her 1000 knives. And that's not mentioning the fact that Yomu's own gimmicks become powerless in front of time manipulation. Because, I mean, How exactly are you gonna cut through time when your very body is frozen in it? All in all, despite this being considered a classic rivalry, the outcome itself isn't all that surprising. I mean, for God's sake, there is even a semi-official manga chapter where it's stated that Youmu and Sakuya spar together, and that the latter usually comes out on top without even breaking a sweat. If I were to put this in anime terms, this'd be less of a Goku-Vegeta rivalry and more of a Kaba-Vegeta Master and Apprentice sort of deal, considering that Sakuya has much more experience and is basically at her prime at this point, if not past it, while Youmu has yet to master her own abilities. With that said, if you disagree with my verdict, then feel free to state your opinion on the result. After all, I'm not infallible. Also, if you want more information on both Sakuya and Youmu, then by all means check out the videos currently on your screen. I really hope you enjoyed this new series, and if you'd like to see more, then don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Have a good one.